Hey, it's Jeff Sauer here, and I want to talk to you about 2018. Specifically, I want to talk about how your marketing efforts performed over the year 2018, and I want to share with you a one-click Google Data Studio dashboard that you can install right into your Data Studio account and get a view of how you performed in 2018 and compare that to your 2017 performance. This template is pretty straightforward. Basically, you need to hook up your Google Analytics account, hook up your Search Console, and you can get comparisons of website traffic, goal conversions, SEO performance, and even mobile versus desktop performance across the different platforms and across your website. And so if you've been wondering about how do you report on what happened in the last year, how do you know whether last year performed better than the year before, and how do you measure whether your goals are occurring in the way that you want them to, and just measure progress, I've created a template that takes all the guesswork out of it, makes it really easy to install and see your own data in action. And so watch the rest of this video, and I'm going to show you how you can create your own 2018 dashboard. And then if you're interested, there's a one-click method where you can install this into your own Data Studio account with our template and get all the goods that come from having a template that does the work for you. So if you want to save yourself a bunch of time and a bunch of effort and just get to the goods, just get to a beautifully designed dashboard that shows you exactly what you're looking for, no questions asked, just plug and play, put it in there, then listen up because we're going to show you exactly how to do that in this video. In this video, we are going to talk about how to look at your 2018 marketing performance using this ready-made Google Data Studio report template. And specifically, the question we want to answer is, how did your marketing efforts perform in 2018? Did you reach your goals for website traffic? Did you reach your goals for mobile versus desktop traffic and penetration? What about your SEO results? Did you achieve what you looked to achieve? Conversions, are you reaching the number of conversions you expected on your website? These are all pretty basic metrics that we measure inside our Google Analytics account and sometimes in our Google Search Console accounts, but usually we are looking at this data from a daily, a weekly, or a monthly basis, and very rarely do marketers just go and look at everything at once with an entire one-year view. And it's even more rare to compare 1 year over the previous year. And so what I want to do is I want to make it as easy as possible for you to do a comparison between your 2018 performance compared to your 2017 performance. And you're going to be able to find these answers using this very easy to use Google Data Studio template. And we're going to be using data from Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So how did your marketing perform in 2018? And so let's go and build and customize our 2018 Year in Review report. Okay, so here we are in our 2018 Year in Review report, and notice that every metric on this report is using the Google Merchandise Store sample account data that Google provides to us for anybody who wants to use Google Data Studio. So we are using sample data. It's generic data for Google's Merchandise Store, and in fact, it's really not that accurate. If you look here, they say they have 3.7 million conversions, and if you drill down into this report and you look at subpages, for example, this page 4 where we talk about conversion value, they're saying they made $1.9 billion from their employee merchandise store. And we know that's pretty insane and definitely not the case. And so you're going to want to customize this to your own data as quickly as possible. Now, the reason why we're using Google's data here and not my own data is because I wanted everybody to be able to at least play around with this thing, at least make a copy and have access to the data that's in there without losing everything. And so the first thing you're probably going to want to do here is customize this to match the data for your own company. Now, if we look on our report, we notice that there's no ability to edit, and that's because I haven't given you edit access. The only way to really play around with this report in its true form is to hit the copy button. So you're going to want to start by making a copy of this report, and then you're going to want to choose which data you want in place. Now, if you don't have access to a Google Analytics account or a Search Console account, I would just keep these things exactly as they are with the sample data. It'll just push it over there. But if you do have these things set up or you do have access to Google Analytics, which I'm going to make an assumption that if you went through the process or if you want to create this report that you have some kind of access, then you're going to want to change this to match your own data. And so I will do that with my own data here. There's a URL. Don't pay attention to my own data. I have some weird naming conventions in place, but basically I have what I need when I go through here. So I'm going to have the data here, and I'm going to have the data there, and then I'm going to have the Jefflytics site search console. I'm going to create my report, and what you're going to see is what I'd consider to be somewhat magical. It's going to take all the report definition we have here, all 4 pages, and it's going to match it to what we have with Jeffalytics data. Now you might notice some things look exactly the same here, or the charts look like they're growing. That's just because of the way that we've built the chart out. But there's a lot of cool things that are in place here. We can see how many users are up for our site. Now our goal was to double traffic in 2018 over 2017. And as you can see here, we did. We doubled traffic overall. The number of sessions went way up as well because of repeat sessions. Our conversion rate went up significantly. Total conversions went up significantly as well. So things went really well at Jeffalytics because we focused on it and we set goals for ourselves. Now, if you're curious about those goals and what we've set, make sure that you look at the accompanying blog post that goes along with this dashboard because it gives you some insights into our line of thinking. And also in that blog post, we are going to set our 2019 goals as well. And so things went really well, which is awesome, but also we want to make sure that we understand what's in this report. And so we have everything from scorecard metrics. You see here our total users. It's simply a piece of data and it's just pulling in the users, and we're doing it for the entire 2018, and then we're comparing it to the previous year. We do the same thing here with sessions. Now we're going to go to our data here. We see sessions, we see conversion rate, that's goal conversion rate, and we see the total number of conversions. Now, notice I have fat fingers and I'm clicking in some weird zones, but you can see goal completions is the same thing as conversions. And then we go down deeper, and this one's just comparing our total cumulative sessions, which is just a name that I've given to sessions. Now, how do we make this chart cumulative, or how do we compare it to what was happening previously? So if you go into your chart style, if you just uncheck this box that says cumulative, and you want to look at it monthly, truly by month, you can see now that we can do a monthly comparison. Now, in terms of Jeffalytics traffic, if you wanted to see some analysis of this, remember we did the 90-day challenge to start January through March, and we did move the needle a little bit, but it wasn't until May that we hit our stride by being able to publish a bunch of GDPR videos that things started to go wild and crazy, and then things just kept on going and going and going. And really, after GDPR, there was really no one thing that made this happen. It was just a momentum play, and we were starting to get a lot of search traffic from a lot of the articles we wrote. So if we get rid of cumulative, you can see here that May of 2018 was a big deal for us. Now here's a comparison of sessions by channel. Now we're using a stacked bar chart, which means that we stack them on top of each other. Now I like this chart for this particular area because we're focusing on what is the cumulative value that we're bringing together. But if we wanted to, we could make a bar chart like this. Now this is a little bit harder to see because it's just so small, and if we're going over 12 months, that can be a pain. So I'm just going to go back to stacked bars, but if you want to, you can play around with this. You know, data labels, it looks a little clunky, and so Google Data Studio is awesome in many ways, but it is also limited, and this chart is about as good as I could make it look for my data and for the Google data that's out there. Now we see page value. This one I actually have a chart that's supposed to go a bar chart next to it, but it's really, everything has such a low page value that it's not showing up there. But you can see what content is most popular. Now, when you put in your own data, you might find that you don't like these labels very much, or you don't like the way that the chart works. So go ahead and change it. So go ahead and change it to be whatever you want. So you can see now, here's my full page title. If you don't want to look at page title, you want to look at the actual URL, simple. Just go in here and change the dimension from page title to just be your page. And then if you scroll down, you'll find pages right here. And now we can see what URL is drawing that traffic. And so this is actually more helpful for me because we have shorter URLs than our titles. And so I might keep it that way. And maybe by the time you see this report, I will have changed this to be the default. Didn't really work very well with the Google Merchandise Store though. The pages in their URL look pretty insane, and it really wasn't very useful compared to their title tag. So you can make a decision there whether you want page or title tag in your own case. Now here we have our channels, our channel grouping. So I just changed it to say channel, but it's actually the default channel grouping field from the Google Analytics API. And we have our sessions, we have value per session, which is actually the per session goal value. And then we have goal value in place. And notice if we look at the style, I'm also doing a comparison here where we're showing comparison to last year. So this is date driven, and it's showing us that we're up 109% in traffic from organic search. Email's up very significantly. It shows us where all the traffic's coming from. We doubled social traffic. Everything was up across the board as a result of just working harder and putting out more content. And so this is the overview, the 10,000 feet overview of what happened in the last year. And frankly, it is a really revealing way of showing how things performed in the last year for us. And it shows pretty clearly that we reached our goals. Now, you might have different goals or you might want to look at different areas. And so I would highly encourage you to customize this as much as you can. But this is really fitting our needs pretty well. And the funny thing is, this is the first time I'm really looking at this with my own data. I basically built this based on Google's merchandise store and hoped that it would work for my business as well. And I tried to make it as universal as possible. So this is not reliant at all on e-commerce. This is really reliant on you having set up goals. Now, if you haven't set up goals before or you don't know what that is, please just stop this video now and take my analytics course. That's what we talk about in analytics course. Everything around how to set up goals, how to get higher quality data, everything that goes into this report, all the data that's in here, we cover how to make it better, how to make it more clear inside analytics course. And so if you haven't taken analytics course yet and you don't really understand what I'm talking about here, please do, I'd say, drop everything and take that course. Let's go to number 2. This is mobile versus desktop. Now, one of the things that I've always been curious about that I've never seen broken out very well in Google Analytics or anywhere else is just a clear breakdown between desktop and mobile. So you can see my mobile is very lagging behind desktop, but it's up significantly. We basically doubled our mobile traffic, and our conversion rate is up, and our conversion rate on desktop is up. So we are getting more conversions, but you can see there's definitely a mobile conversion opportunity. Now, as we look at these charts, one thing to note is that I fixed them to the same axis of 100,000, and that's starting to make things look a little bit funky here. So I'm going to change that max down to 50,000, and now this looks a little better. Actually, I'll make it 60 because then we can see the local maximum there. And if you don't want to deal with this at all, you can just get rid of the max altogether, and then it will automatically do it for you. Now, the reason why I did this is because I wanted to compare desktop and mobile on the same plane, so you could see how much less mobile was than desktop. So let me explain that here. So if I get rid of this thing and I go to auto, okay, this looks like it's doing as well as desktop, but look at the scale, 15K versus 60K. And I'm somebody who just doesn't think that, I think that people can both lie with scale and then also come to false conclusions. And so I decided that I was going to put that scale the same for each of these just so that nobody came to false conclusions when looking at the report. And of course, if you want to help people draw false conclusions, go for it. Now you know how to change it. Just changing the axis max in your styling section of the chart. Go here, we have our top mobile content, and all that we're doing here is we're looking at our page title, the same report on the previous page, and then I have a filter in place that says mobile and tablet traffic, and that's all it is. And so this is filtered based on mobile and tablet traffic. Same thing here. Mobile and tablet traffic for the same chart that we saw on the previous page. This is actually filtered. These are all filtered accordingly. So you can see this one actually has a desktop traffic filter, and then this is mobile and tablet traffic. Now, if you want to have tablet broken out on its own, go for it. I actually just ran out of space, and so I decided to simplify it. I don't really get a lot of tablet traffic, so I decided desktop versus mobile and tablet. Your call if you want to change that in any way, shape, or form. All right, page 3 is where we start to get into actual SEO data coming from Search Console. And I'll be honest with you, Search Console data is not as easy to work with as Google Analytics data. And so we have our Google SERP clicks. This is coming from my Google Search Console. We have our impressions, we have our conversion rate, mobile conversion rate. Actually, I don't think that I updated this properly, or I might have deleted it or something. So by the time you look at this, it's actually going to say something different. I'm going to have Google CTR and other data in here. So this is not going to look the same. Just know that I'm going to update it for you by the time you get this template. And then so I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But notice we have our organic searches. This is coming from Google Analytics. And then clicks by Google Search Console. Now, if you don't own the source, if you don't have the ability to hit the edit button on here, you'll notice when you go to the date function and you do the show as, that's grayed out. So it was grayed out on the other report that we were looking at the Search Console report using the sample data. But once it's your own data, it is no longer grayed out, and you can choose year, month, and that should be what you want to choose. Now you're going to see our year by month, how many clicks we got from Google Search Console. And also, since Google Search Console works on a rolling basis, I believe it's a 16-month rolling basis, you can see that we have things that are trickling into 16 months ago, and we're looking at data. So we don't have quite the same set of data that we had for our Google Analytics, because we were running Google Analytics for the whole 2-year period, but we at least have it for 16 months. And you can see, in my case, search traffic is way up. And this one is the landing page. These are the top landing pages driving traffic from organic search. You can see here, it's pretty similar to our top pages. Now, my site is very heavy on organic search, so that's pretty much how it's going to go. Your SEO reports are going to match your overall site reports, because about 75+% of my traffic comes from Google organic search. And so these things should be pretty much a 1-to-1 parity. If I click on this one, notice that it's broken. Now, I'm not sure why it breaks, to be completely honest with you, but if I get rid of this invalid metric, it will paint a report for us. And in fact, if I add back in here what should have been there, URL CTR, this should show them all in some type of harmony. And so here we are with the URL CTR. And while I'm waiting for it to paint, I'm just going to call this thing CTR just to save space. So we'll see what happens here. Maybe something's broken. Okay, it is starting to work, and it's showing us now the most common queries that we're ranking for and how many clicks we've gotten from them. Now, one thing I will tell you is that these numbers are going to match up roughly between the number of clicks we got from our, from here to here. These things should actually match exactly, but they don't always match exactly. But this is going to be perhaps a little bit more varied than you're looking for. Or it could be accurate. You just need to pay attention to what you see in your reports and how it's working. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if we're looking at our date, this is a 40K range and this is a 30K range. Let's just show the data labels. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change this axis to be 30,000. And notice that they're showing me 32,000 clicks that happened, 11,906. If I want to do the data labels on this one, we're at 28,000 compared to 32,000. We're at 17,000 compared to 19,000. So basically, the Google Search Console data is reporting a higher number of clicks than what I'm seeing in my own Google Analytics. But note that Google Analytics, I'm using the metric organic searches. And so it could be that I'm using a different field. Like if I did sessions and then I did a filter here for organic search traffic, which I have created before, this number is actually going to be higher. And so this is 33,636 versus 32,000. So you might want to choose your metrics wisely. And so organic searches might be different than sessions when you do a filter for organic search. And if you want to see that filter, it's pretty straightforward. The channel grouping contains organic. So I'm not just breaking out only Google. That's the other thing here is this is not breaking out only Google. This is Google. It could be Bing. It could be Yahoo. It could be any other search engine. But as you can see, I'm very dominant towards Google. And so it's up to you to do this comparison, whether you find it useful or not. You can make it look however you want to. You can put data labels in there. You can get rid of the year-over-year comparison if it's cluttering things too much for you. Do whatever you got to do, and that'll give you that comparison. And then if we go here and we want to get rid of this one, maybe the empty queries, or we don't want to show that, you can add a filter, and you can say, I want to create a new filter, and it's going to be where query contains a value. Try to be as explicit with what you're talking about. So that we're going to choose to filter on query from our data source, and it is contains, and then or does not. You can do a bunch of different, is not null. So exclude where it's null. Let's see if that works. Null means that there's no value in there. You basically want to just keep on working the filter until you get what you're looking for. Now, null should work, but sometimes these queries are empty strings. So let's just see what happens. And as you can see here, the Search Console API is much slower than the Google Analytics API. These things take much longer to paint. And so maybe we'll wait on that to come back and see if we can go to our page number 4 while we're waiting for that thing to paint. Okay, so I'm going to page number 4 now. And actually, as you can see, it sort of affects everything. And we see our conversion rate. That's just pulled over from a previous screen of this report. The conversion value, this is our goal value total for the year. The goal value is per session goal value. Now, don't worry about these numbers. This is just testing is what I'd say of our data. So I'm not actually, the conversion value is not actually the value either higher or lower than what we had on Jeffalytics. It's just something that I put in there as a placeholder for our test account. we have cumulative goal completions. This is how many goals we've completed over time. As you can see, the value's gone up, the total number of conversions has gone up, everything's gone up year over year. And this really does indicate that. And part of it's actually just better analytics. We're doing better at our own analytics and tracking things more properly and being more effective there. And the other part of it, the major part of it, is simply that we're just doing a lot more content marketing and getting more leads. And so as you can see here, we've gotten a lot more lead magnets. I think we didn't have this thing coded properly before. We had some other things that trailed off, but basically here's a makeup of what goals are doing well. Now, this is one of those ones where I want to show you how this is made because it can be a little bit tricky. So we have a stacked bar chart. So you see they're stacked. Otherwise, we'd compare them side by side. That would be insane. So they're stacked. And when we look at our data, there's actually a weird way that this has to happen. You can't just say, I want goals sorted individually. You need to type them in there each way. And it's really nuanced for how to do this. If you type in goal completion, it's only that. Or if you type in goal conversion, like it's only the conversion rate. But what you really want is goal and then goal slot number and then the word comp. That's how I can say I want my 11th goal. So it depends on how many goals you have in place. See, this is the opt-in for the 90-day challenge. Now you put this in place, you say what that number is, and then it will fill out this chart for you. So this works pretty well. But this is completion 1. As you can see, it's hard to see actually. This is 1, goal number 2. When I hover over it, you can see that goal number 3, and so on. So I just put these things in order. I gave you 10. If you don't have 10 goals, just get rid of the ones that you don't have. And so I gave you 10. I didn't give you 20. 20 is probably too much for a report anyway. It breaks your legend and everything. But if you have 20 goals, just go ahead and see how you can make it look. And then this is just the goal completion location. And so it's just a dimension inside of Google Analytics' API. And this is the page that somebody was on when they completed. This is the page that somebody was on when they completed the goal. And the value, this is actually the value coming from our conversion value. And if you add this up and if you put in, for example, a total row, then you should be able to see what you're looking for. And so if you go into your data and you say show summary row, these numbers should roughly match up, 48,760, and see it works right there. And also, while these reports are interactive, you can just click on the arrow button when you're in view mode and you can see then what the sources are. So you can go through all the different pages that have that type of goal setup. And so that's it for this report. It's pretty straightforward. As you can see, it's very minimal to get your own data to work. I tried to make it as universal as possible. I tried to make it as helpful as possible. I didn't want to overwhelm, but I also wanted to just be like, hey, click on it once and you're in there. And so you have a few options. You can either download this template from my data-driven website and install it very easily, or you can recreate this from scratch on your own with your own data, with your own metrics, whatever you're looking at. And so either way, I hope that you do enjoy this tutorial on how to create a 2018 year in review breakdown. And hopefully you find this template to be useful and this video to be useful. And I'd love to hear from you. So let me know what you think. Let me know if this is something that you thought was interesting and how you're using it. And so send me a note with your own data filled out in here and let me know how we can make improvements to this template. Let me know what you think. And I do look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I wish you a great upcoming year. And look out for our future videos where we're going to talk about how to measure your marketing objectives for 2019 and any year into the future.